Welcome to the Six Rings Cane Show, a show dedicated to Miami Hurricane sports, featuring the legendary Larry Bluestein, Jazz Santana, Vish, and Danny Gillette. Let's go Canes.
I like that.
So listen, that's half of it.
Yeah, I'm still waiting on the music, but I was like, I got this clip. I might as well use it.
What the hell? We'll take it, man. That was pretty damn awesome.
And you know what? They said my last name right, so I'm really happy about that.
We made sure they did.
I appreciate that.
That was Alana. That was the voice of Alana.
Thank you, Alana.
Shout out to Alana for that, man. She did a great job with it. Welcome to the Six Rings. Actually, we've we haven't officially named it the Canes Family Therapy Session, but that's what's gonna be tonight, baby. So joined as always, as you heard earlier, Vish, Larry Bluestein, and of course Danny Gillette. How are you guys doing tonight?
Doing good. You come to grips with what happened, and you and I sat there, and it was like, holy mackerel.
Today,
is this happening here?
Yeah, like today, like yesterday, and then today you get a chance to kind of decompress and kind of relax and go over it in your head again and all that. So
thanks.
I'm ready for basketball season. It should be a good year.
You guys are both lying. Don't lie to yourselves, all right? Let's not lie to ourselves. Been kind of crazy. Obviously, the last 24 to 48 hours have not been the best for Miami Hurricane sports. We don't mention those things in the chat. You can put them up all you want, but we're not going to say them. So, a lot to dissect, a lot to talk about because there's a lot of things that are still kind of hanging over everybody's head here as Canes fans. And look, at the end of the day, yes, we love this program, but it's clear that there's still a lot going on that needs to be corrected, fixed. And to be quite honest with you, a lot of the stuff still surprised me a little bit, and we shouldn't be surprised, right? Because at this point, we've seen this movie before. So is it just a chapter? Is it just one piece of the movie, and then obviously it gets better, or are we going down the same road again? But truth is, it was disappointing. It was kind of embarrassing. It was a lot of things. And we'll get to it. And I kind of want to get right to things as opposed to kind of go over the whole thing, because I mean, if we dissect the whole entire game right now, we're each going to talk for 10 minutes. So the truth is, I kind of want to break down each area and what what went wrong, right? At the end of the day, look, we got whooped, right? We got whooped by Middle Tennessee State. Props to them because they came out ready to play and they kicked our butts, right? That's just the bottom line. They kicked their ass up and down the field, both sides of the football, and at no point did that football team look like they were in the game, ready to play, and it's concerning. So final score was 45-31. Yes, we're going to relive it again for all my people that are going to be joining the chat soon. The first thing I want to start off with, because I know everybody wants to talk about the offense. Everybody wants to talk about Tyler Van Dyke and the play calling and Josh Gaddis and all that, and we'll get to it because I know that's what everybody wants to talk about. Okay. But at the end of the day, I mean, we gave up 45 points as well on the defensive side of the football. Okay. So there's a lot of breakdowns there. A lot of players that we thought had kind of gotten back to, started to kind of step up and look the part, regressed again. Right. And then you just saw players out of place, out of position. You saw them lost. You saw a lot of things that at this point you shouldn't be seeing from this team. I don't care if it's against Middle Tennessee State or against Texas A&M or Alabama. I mean, there was a lot of things that really went wrong on the defensive side of the ball. I know they had a pick six, so one of those touchdowns you can kind of erase, and they really only gave up 38 points. I'm sorry, they only gave up 38 points. It's tough. This is a tough one to kind of revisit.
Yeah, I mean, both teams had like a weird touchdown because we had the kick return for a touchdown.
Right.
So I don't think 38-24 is any
Doesn't really make a
different.
difference,
But
right?
that's if you want to drop a touchdown off each,
Yeah.
then we can do that.
Exactly. Well, special teams matters, right? Special teams matters. Real quick, I guess what I really want to talk about right now is obviously the defensive side of the ball, and I'm going to start off with you, Blue, because we still saw. Look, so we saw Corey Flax didn't play terribly, right? He still played decent, but I think it was really an effort. It was just a lack thereof from that whole entire defensive side of the ball. Talk to me a little bit about what you saw on the defensive side of the ball that really concerned you the most. And again, I want to kind of preface this by saying we're really not knocking players here. We're just really we got to say how it is, right? We got to say where they messed up, where they screwed up, where they had deficiencies, and what led to them scoring 38 points on us.
No consistent pass rush, obviously. You never put much pressure on the quarterback. And then when he did, he ran the ball on you. Our secondary played terribly. I mean, but that could be part and parcel of getting too much time to throw the ball because they're not going to run with those receivers forever. And it was just, I don't know. And I think I said it to you probably at the end of the first quarter. I said, there's something wrong here. It just doesn't look like this team's in sync. And maybe it's from a fan standpoint that you want them to come out and just blow this team out and have all that energy, but they had none. They had no energy whatsoever from the beginning. And you know what? By the time as we approach halftime, everybody was booing. And they're going to boo enough when you're on the road at Clemson and all that stuff. The last place you want that is at home. And that, to me, that takes, and Tyler could complain all he wants, now they're booing. Well, you gave him something to boo about. I mean, and I'll tell you this, I hate watching those games over again, but I watched it again. He was miserable. He had time to throw, and he was throwing behind people. And I even said that to you, Jazz. I said, when I forgot Redding on one of the plays that Redding had, he's throwing at their feet. And they never really, when they got the tight end involved once or twice. But from a defensive standpoint, they put no pressure on them. Every time they caught a ball, they never punished them. They made it so, every time they weren't afraid. There was no intimidation. And there's got to be intimidation when you have man for man. If I put all those 22 guys out on a board and I told you to pick kids for positions, how many guys would you have picked from Middle Tennessee State? Not a lot. But that's my point. Miami's just, and you know what? Mario could blame himself every single week if he wants, but that's never going to improve things and say, oh, well, we got to be better. Yeah, you know what? I don't buy that talk, mainly because I've heard that talk from the last 5 coaches. You kind of get to the point where let's see some results. You can knock that school in Tallahassee all you want, but they're getting results. But yeah, it's year 3. So I think that in year 3, Miami is going to be phenomenal. And the thing, my phone blew up all day Sunday from people saying, hey, we're going to lose all these recruits. Man, Mamagoa is going to go to Alabama. And, no, he's not. At the end of the day, and I said this to you, Jazz, I said, I hope the recruits are watching. Because if I'm a wide receiver, I said, damn, I'm playing high school now. I'll be in that damn lineup next year. Because there's nobody out there that's better than me. Same thing with all those linebackers. Shoot. I'm going to be I'll be 1 or 2 on that depth chart next year. So you can't say that about going to Alabama. You can't say that about going to Georgia, Ohio State, even Oklahoma, which lost. They've got a lot of depth. Miami has no depth. Yeah, no, I agree. They can't cover, but that's only because the pass rush wasn't giving them any. You can't leave those. I don't care who it is. You can't leave anybody in the secondary for 8 seconds. I mean, it's just not going to work out. And I'm not one who said, oh, let's throw this game away. You can't throw this game away because now it's not going to be any easier at all. Who's worse than Middle Tennessee State?
No, it's good.
Not even Georgia Tech.
It's going to get tougher now. This is a tougher,
Much tougher.
You got the ACC now. It's a very good conference, man. You got a lot of teams that are playing well in that conference. You got a top 10 program, so no, it's not going. And you know what? To answer Gary's uh, post here, look, it's true, right? You can't run a cover. Yes, Here's the thing. The thing with a cover zero is exactly that, right? And I know DJ, you probably know about this as well. What is the whole point? And I heard this last night as well on Flo's show. What's the whole point of a cover zero? The whole point is not to let anybody get behind you, right? Period. That's exactly what happened. Vish, are you concerned about exactly what Gary just mentioned, right? I mean, they had one receiver who had 2 catches for 169 yards. Both of them went for touchdowns. Okay, and they had another guy who caught one pass for 69 yards, and it was another touchdown. By the way, that cat who caught 2 passes for 169 yards had a total of 15 receiving yards the first 2 or 3 games. So how concerned are you to see that those guys lined up? Because the truth is we were playing a lot of man as well, right? You thought, hey, man coverage, we're going to be able to beat them one-on-one. No sweat. These guys literally blew right by our defensive backs. I don't care if it was DJ Ivey, Daryl Porter, Tyreek, whoever it was. They blew right by these guys. They blew right by, unfortunately, Jaden Harris came in one play and got smoked that one play for a touchdown. How concerned are you that these guys are just lining up and running right past us? And then if you notice when they were chasing them down, they just looked slower. Is it a matter of just them not giving full effort, or is it that they were just faster than us? I mean, talk to me a little bit about that and just the defense in the whole.
Well, I think we got out coached and out schemed. They knew exactly. They had a plan to exploit our weaknesses. Like Corey Flagg has had a great year and deservedly is the starter, but they know he's not good in space. That one long pitch and catch they had was just a check down into space, and they isolated him. Now, his teammates let him down because they should have rallied to the tackle. No one was in that instance. No one was really running the tackle. It was just him. But they knew what they were doing. And you mentioned, Jalen Harris. Anytime we had a freshman go out there, they attacked him immediately. They were on top of it. And we got all those injuries at corner. Tyreek went out. Then Porter went out. So we were down, and they knew exactly. They were hitting it they went at Malik Curtis too. They knew exactly what they were doing. So I think we just got out coached because anytime you take your more talented guys and you try to exploit the weaknesses, we're not, and we've talked about this a lot, like fully stocked across the board. So there are weaknesses on our defense, which we're well aware of, right? And when we choose to nitpick them, like that's why everyone gets on Flag all the time because he's got deficiencies. We know they went right at him, and some of those I don't like that first long touchdown pass they had. Or it might have been the second one. I don't know. There was one where we almost tackled the guy at like the 20, where he had like a 10-yard head start. All we had to do was take a few more strides and we tackled him easily and dove too early. And he stepped out of the tackle.
Oh, that was Tyreek. Tyreek.
Yeah, I mean, he had him. If he just ran it, like took a few more strides to close that gap a little bit more, he would have tackled him around the 15. He dove at him at the 20 and he stepped out of it. Now, that appeared to be, at least one of those appeared to be a bust, where there was a miscommunication. We were in multiple coverages, so the defense just went on the same page. It was always something, but I think as a team, we weren't.
I was going to say, it was a bust the whole time. It felt like.
Well, sometimes it was. Sometimes it was, that one they threw out of their own end zone was intentionally. We were trying to pressure them, maybe get a safety and did not, as Blue mentioned, or did not get the pressure, and then you're isolated out there. And, credit to them. They hit every one of those plays. Like we had Redding streaking up the sideline at one point. Van Dyke overthrew him. Like we didn't hit the plays the way that they did. They did not miss any of those because you expect a drop pass here and overthrow there. In every game, you get away with a few of those, right? We didn't get away with any of them. They hit every single one of them. So credit to them for executing, and they came with a game plan to exploit our weaknesses, and they did it. We also weren't. I mean, I know what Blue's saying about hearing this from multiple coaches outs on them. I mean, I think if we were playing a better team like Zion would have played, like rest his knee. To me, that was a whole – we didn't necessarily respect this opponent as much as we should have. We were holding people out, we can get away with this, we can get away with that. And they hit us in the mouth and we were behind the 8 ball. And defensively, which is what the original question was on, every time we tried to get a foothold, they'd hit us with a big play. So
I mean, not only that, like you mentioned it, right? Both of you mentioned it, Blue and Vish, the trenches, right? Our defensive line was not getting enough pressure. And look, Vish, you get punched in the mouth a couple times. A good defense needs to wake the hell up at that point, and then turn a switch on and kind of change things, right? And kind of turn things around. It didn't happen. DJ, I noticed. Actually, me and Blue noticed it big time. Their running back, Peasant or whatever his name was, Zach Peasant. Kid ran.
Making fun of that guy.
I know. He kept killing us, right? He kept knocking that defensive line. He was just tearing them apart the whole time. He ran with attitude. He ran strong. He ran aggressively. And you notice, and I'm not saying they ran for a lot of yards because they didn't. They actually didn't run for a lot of yards.
19 carries for 74 yards on his part.
Right, which is not crazy, right? I mean, the problem is that when he ran the ball, when they needed to get those yards, they got the yards, right? When they needed to kind of break the will of our defense, they did so. This defense didn't look very good at all, DJ. And they took a significant step back. And I'm curious as to get your thoughts on why this defense struggles so much against this team.
To be honest with you, I wish I had, the ultimate answer and a good answer for that, but I really don't know. I mentioned, I talked with Vish about this in the post-game show a little bit, and I'm sure you heard it, Jazz and Blue, that it seemed like we fell behind a couple scores and we just played like, oh yeah, we're definitely going to catch up, no worries. There was no sense of urgency. Middle Tennessee State had urgency on both sides of the football, and that included on offense. And it just seemed like the Middle Tennessee State offensive line was able to quite literally push our guys around. And, it was kind of bewildering to see because, we've heard so much about, the defensive line transfers and how the linebacker position is improving. And it was completely baffling to me why the defensive line just couldn't get any big stop or any major momentum on Saturday.
Oh, yeah. Sorry about that. You guys can hear me okay?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Every time I do that, I lose you guys. Look, at the end of the day, I noticed, and this is what kind of worried me the most as well, right? Because after the football game, some of the players were asked about that, right? Their preparation, and a lot of them, I mean, stuff that you don't say this out there. And this tells me everything I need to know. And I'm gonna preface that by saying something else. However, these a lot of these players were like, well, we weren't ready to play them. We were overlooking them. We thought that we were just gonna beat them. And I'm hearing this stuff, and I'm like, you gotta be effing kidding me that this is still what is being said. Now, with that being said, I want a lot of fans to understand something. Okay, and I'm kind of, I don't want to say I'm getting soft here, but this whole entire notion of we've got to change the culture, right? Mario it's going to take some time to change the culture, and it sounds very cliche, but it's the bottom line. You cannot change the culture of this program having the same exact players or most of the players that you had part of that previous culture in this one as well, right? So this is why patience is very important because, Blue, you know this better than a lot of people, right? You've got to have patience, and to change a culture, it doesn't happen overnight. It doesn't happen in 4 games, okay? And it doesn't happen it might not even happen in 1 season, okay? However, a lot of us are tired of hearing that, right? We're tired of hearing the change the culture, change the players need to, and you hear all these players talking to how they used to talk before, and that's because that culture was instilled in this program from before, and it doesn't happen overnight for them to change that, right? However, at the same time, you're talking about, everybody said, and I hate this saying or this another thought that a lot of fans and a lot of experts out there say, well, hey, Nick Saban went 5-7 his first year and he lost to Louisiana Monroe, and Kirby Smart was terrible at Georgia his first year, and I'm done with that. I don't want to hear that crap. That's crap to me. It doesn't matter to me what Nick Saban did 20 years ago, what Kirby Smart did 5 years ago. You could say that about a ton of coaches, right? You could also say the opposite about a ton of coaches. They started off crappy. They ended up crappy coaches. Like that whole notion of, well, of course we're going to name Nick Saban. He's the greatest coach to ever coach college football. Of course we're going to name him that he had a bad record his first year with Mike Shula's players. I get that, but we can't think that way. We can't think, well, hey, and I get it. It's wishful thinking. It's for something for us to be positive about. And Blue, I know that you have something to say about that, but I understand there needs to be a culture change, but at the same time, that means the players need to change as well. It's not only about the coaches.
Well, the only thing I can remember, guys, is during the off season when we were talking about this year, and we'd occasionally drop, hey, they can win 9, 10 games, and they with a bowl game, 11 games. And when we did our season prediction, and I said, well, they may win 8, or you never know, maybe a 9th game. And I got lambasted from the fans. And the one thing that I said to the fans, I said, on what basis are you going on that all of a sudden this team that was just barely a little over a 500 team last year, losing 2 huge weapons at receiver? And you know what I'm saying? But you can't say anything to the fan base because they'll go haywire on you if you don't agree with what they're saying. But from now on, if I feel some way, I'm going to say it. And like I said, this is not a good football team. It is, and I'm sorry to say that the rest of the season is really going to be really an uphill struggle because I don't see what is going to change moving the ball on offense or stopping with much better players. North Carolina, Jesus, I was watching them against Notre Dame. Yeah, Notre Dame's they got guys, and Miami cannot. And I know they got the week off. I'm tired of the motivational crap. Oh, don't worry. We got this week off. We're going to get them all ready. For what? You didn't get them ready for last week? Then you're terrible coaching. That's terrible coaching if you didn't get them ready. You have to have them ready for every game. I don't care who it is. Didn't you learn from Jacksonville State being FSU? Didn't you learn from Georgia Southern beating Florida that year? Appalachian State when they were at FCS school or whatever they were, beating Michigan at the Big House? You can't relax on anybody. And especially when you're coming off an average season with new players. Listen, I'm not against being optimistic, and you got to be that way as a fan. But then the reality's got to kind of click it. And to be honest, guys, I don't see what's going to change over the next couple of weeks from last week. Oh, they could add Zion Nelson back, or they could add this guy. But Tyler was horrible. I mean, I watched him. It wasn't this. Now, the week before, I'll admit that he had some key passes dropped. This week, he didn't. He was thrown behind people at their feet. Couldn't find any running game. It looked like a scrum in rugby when and I told you that at half before the half, somebody like Knighton would get the ball or Parrish would get the ball, and they weren't going anywhere. And it gets frustrating when that happens. And then even Thad wasn't. They put him in there, but he had no running room. The offensive line took a step back. I mean, they really did. They weren't firing off the ball. And that, to me, at halftime, I thought, they were down at the half. And I thought, I said to Jazz, I said, what's going to happen is he's going to go in there and he's going to ream their butts and say, listen, let's wake it up. But he may have said it, but it didn't help. And that's why he looked like somebody passed after the game, because you could see in his face that even he doesn't know what the fix is right now. The fix is more personnel, and they don't have it.
Well, he mentioned that. Yeah, he mentioned that in the press conference. He did mention Coach Cristobal mentioned that he knew that this was going to be a tough fix, and it was going to be a lot of work. But
the Manny Diaz era was horrible, and they left him with horrible players.
But he also realizes it's going to be a little more work than he anticipated. That's exactly what he said. So, Real quick, by the way, sorry.
So I just want to state for the record that was not my prediction, Gary. You're never going to get
that's why I
spicy
put the smiley
nuggets.
face. That's why
You're never going to get spicy nuggets like that.
Big shout out to Gary. Chugmo Beers back in the house. Appreciate the love, Raul. Look forward to every show this week. Thanks for the therapy session. In your opinion,
I think we can probably address this a little bit later in the show when we kind of pivot.
Yeah, we'll definitely talk about that.
No, it doesn't. We talked about it.
Yeah, but stick around. We'll talk about it again. But that's a quick answer for it. But
I mean, just a little bit more elaboration, so we don't have to revisit it. So the people that Mario is getting to come in are buying into this dream of like future growth. They know the program's a mess right now. They're buying into playing time early and the chance of building something. So nothing that's happened is really going to throw them off. They know what they're coming into. They know we're not out.
And at the end of the day, are you going to get one or two decommitments here and there? Yeah, it happens to every program. So don't even worry about that. Moving along, because we mentioned it here and there with the defense and some of the stuff we've been talking about. This is a really important topic because at the end of the day, you've got a lot of people right now that are very, very concerned with the way that this program is being coached on both sides of the football. But I guess we can focus. This is kind of like a two-part question. It's coaching and offense. It's both topics. So we'll kind of get to that. And we will get to the quarterback situation and some recruiting after. So, keep a lock on here for that. But I really want to focus right now on the situation that is now really starting to get serious and starting to get really concerning, which is the play calling that that offensive coordinator Josh Gaddis has kind of put together for some of these games, back-to-back games. We understand that the Texas A&M game, we were okay in between the 20s, but we noticed that this game there was just there was a lot of issues with the play calling. There was a lot of issues with the coaching. Blue, you mentioned it. DJ, you mentioned it. We were out coached and we were out schemed. Vish, you mentioned that, right? We were out schemed in this game, and we were out coached. Plain and simple. I mean, on defense, you had a cover zero and you let guys get behind you. That's being out coached. You're not in position to make plays on crossing routes with a linebacker that you know that they're going to expose that, and they beat you on that as well. So there's a lot of different situations on defense. On offense, I think the same thing, right? So while his running schemes are great, not this week, because this week his running schemes were terrible as well. Josh Gaddis has some great running schemes. This was not one of them. I don't know what the hell happened here with his running scheme, but let's be honest, right? At this point, we're starting to understand what a lot of people were saying. The passing scheme from Josh Gaddis is not a very good scheme at all. And I understand we're having issues at quarterback also, but take away the quarterback play for a second, right? I know it's hard to do that, but take away how bad he's looked, okay, and the issue at quarterback. Right now, I want to kind of focus on this passing scheme and what type of, it seems to me like Josh Gaddis is not putting these players in a position to be successful. And Blue, you and I spoke about it upstairs on Saturday, right? Where the hell are the running backs? Where the hell are the running backs coming out?
Well, they're all injured on the bench, but
no. Look,
we got Thad, and then we got Thad by the end of the game.
But before that, Henry Parrish was playing the game before. Jalen Knight was playing before, and I understand they got hurt. But where are the running backs? And what I mean by that are we said it, right? Why aren't we putting them out in space? Why aren't we throwing them in the flats? Why aren't we doing those type of things? Will Mallory has been a complete disappointment when it comes to blocking, comes to just about anything right now. He's dropped a couple of passes. He just doesn't look the part either. Elijah Arroyo's playing a lot better, but he also missed a huge tackle that got Jalen Knighton hurt. Okay, so I think that we need to start realizing that his play calling right now from a passing scheme perspective is not very good. So the question I have for you guys on this, okay, you can kind of elaborate on that, and we'll start with you again, Blue. Would you be opposed to having Coach Frank Ponce, draw up the passing scheme? I'm not saying he's calling plays, but use Carlos Ponce. That's what I'm thinking about. Coach Frank Ponce's passing scheme with Josh Gaddis' run scheme, and how that might be more successful. Are you opposed to having something like that?
I'm not, but I think that Gaddis would be. I don't think that he would take. I think he would take that as an insult. Um, I can only say that he was hired on his merits as one of the best play callers and one of the best assistant coaches. So if you start swiping away duties from him, then it doesn't look. It's not a good look. If he's not a good coach and he gets exposed all season, then you got to make a move. Because Miami can't keep going through this stuff. I don't care how much personnel has. If you're calling the wrong plays, or if you fail to do anything in the red zone, which that poster just said, and I watched a ton of games this last weekend too, and I'm looking at a lot of these plays and I go, how come Miami can't do that? And once I looked at Oregon State. Come on, how did they get so good so quick? They're running some against USC, some really good plays. It's frustrating to watch, but no, to answer your question, I wouldn't be in favor of it because I think that shows that, that shows they made a mistake.
Well,
And
here's my thing though. Coach Ponce is, by definition, he is a quarterback's coach / passing game coordinator.
Yeah.
Why aren't they using it? Right? He has that title. They might as well use his schemes.
Well, they got his input, Jazz. The whole week watching film, and they could, when they game play him for the games, I'm sure they go over, not that they script plays, but I think they go over scenarios. He and Gaddis probably sit in a room for hours together and just say, okay, let's say this scenario. I don't know if they did. It didn't look like they did it this week, but but last week against A&M, and you can never put your finger on the reason why people don't execute in the red zone as well as they do between the 20s, and because it's just one of those things. I think that a lot of teams are of that way. I'm just I'm not a settle for the field goal guy time. There is a time and place, but every drive can end up in 3 points. And it's just that their offense has no continuity. If we're talking about them yesterday playing Virginia or Wake Forest, then, that's different because those teams are comparable and they're in most cases ahead of Miami at this point. But you had a game yesterday, and I will say that because of the transfer portal and stuff, that most of these App States and these schools like them and Utah State and schools like that have more personnel than they've ever had before, because these kids will transfer out and, be disgruntled and say, they'll go anywhere they have playing time. And, I went to UNLV, and I'm noticing that with them after 4 games, they're 3-1, and they've never been like this. And they're scoring lots of points because what they did is they brought 10 kids in from, various Colorados and Minnesotas and stuff like that were good enough to be recruited as Power 5 players at one time. And maybe because of, one thing or nothing or another, things didn't work out. You look at Spencer Rattler. He's awful. How did that guy become the number 1 quarterback in the nation? I watched him against South Carolina. You talk about being up in arms. How is that guy a premier quarterback? So everybody has their problems, but I think that when you look nowadays, it just brings me back. And you said it, Jazz, I can't see for the life of me how you could say, oh, it's just Middle Tennessee State. Who is Miami to say that about anybody? They've won 24 games in the last, 3 years? So who are they? It just gets upsetting and stuff. No, I don't think that, there's different. Listen, I still think Mario and his staff are really good. It's just that you can only do so much with what you have. And they have no playmakers on offense. Who's their playmaker on offense? Nobody.
Yeah, we're still waiting to see that.
It's every position, because who's your playmaker as a running back now? Who's your quarterback? Is during this off week, is like you said, is there going to be a quarterback battle? I say do it. What the heck? How many times are you in a situation, Jazz, and baseball better than anybody? How long have you seen a starter and go 8 innings and then still have a lead and they get taken out? just the way it is. It's a team game. It's not an individual game. And Miami and some of these schools treat football as an individual sport, and it's not. And that's why I said if your quarterback is not getting it done, put in another guy. He's on your team. He's wearing your uniform. He's getting a $100,000 scholarship every year. So let him see. You're on the same team. And you know what? For those people that say, oh, well, it's going to bruise his ego. Well, then leave, okay? If you can't be a team player and you're thinking as an individual. I mean, I've seen this before. This happened well before you guys were on Earth. But when Danny Werfel won the Heisman at Florida, he wasn't even the quarterback going into that year. It was Terry Dean, and he played terrible. And they elevated Danny Werfel, and he won the Heisman. So,
by the way, Blue, we were alive when Danny Werfel won the Heisman. All right, I remember.
How young do you think we are?
Right? I don't know. I don't know how young you think we are.
Yeah,
right?
DJ, I don't think I was. I'm 27, so
yeah, DJ's got more than a decade on us. So
yeah,
we remember those days.
Yeah, well, you guys should be flattered that I think you're in your 20s.
Well, thanks. We appreciate it. Just kind of coming back around this because I want to get yours and DJ's take on the coaching and the play calling. Look, there's also been a lot of rumblings lately, right? That a lot of ex, players that have played in the system or coaches that have coached previously with Gaddis and with some of these, other guys have said that this is something that was going to happen with Miami, that the Broyles Award it was not all it was cracked out to be, that he's not necessarily this guru genius offensive coordinator and yada yada yada. So there's been a lot of rumblings about that. There's also been a lot of rumblings that he's running a system that's not good according to the players that we have, right? And I'm going to be honest with you, I'm going to say this right off the bat. Okay, for everybody that's asking for Coach Lashley to come back and for us to run this type of offense, okay, we saw what that offense can do in the regular season, but we also saw how easy it was to stop that offense towards the end of the season. Some of the better teams knew exactly how to counter that and how to beat that offense. I don't think, is the offense that it's, everybody's, it's all cracked out to be. I get that. A lot of people liked it because it kind of showed that TVD, TVD played well. He also had Charleston Rambo and Mike Harley and all that, right, on that offense. So let's kind of take a step back and forget about the whole Coach Lashley thing. This is not a terrible offense. We just don't have the playmakers, and I know Blue said that already. So, Vish, I want to get your take on the play calling as a whole, the offense, everything.
Well, yeah, so I'm going to challenge this whole notion that the offense is schemed poorly. Or that the style does not work when, if you look at the teams at the top of college football, they are running this stuff. They're not running Rhett Lashley stuff. And Mario is trying, this is better or worse, we know what we hired. We hired a Nick Saban disciple who believes in physical football and using the passing game for big plays. And we can't execute for crap on the big play part of it. And it's hamstringing the whole offense. You mentioned the red zone issues, which we've certainly had. We went for it twice in the red zone and didn't convert. We also dropped a couple of touchdowns that better teams make those catches on. You look how Clemson beat Wake Forest. It was like 3rd and 10. They threw a jump ball into traffic in overtime, and the guy goes up and gets it. We get Ladson, who played really well, one-on-one. He's got the size advantage. The ball goes off his hands. It's not an easy catch, but that's the way football is played today. You're not open by 15 yards. And you see our opponents doing it. When they throw it up one-on-one with their DBs, their receivers go and get it. Ours can't make those plays. That's how the game is played. So I'm not saying we wouldn't be better right now with Lashley's offense, but Mario is not going to put in a system to allow TVD to thrive for a year and then have to change it in 2 years when these players he's recruited now are, sophomores, juniors, seniors. He's going to put in the system he wants to run. And in terms of empowering Ponce more, is he not the quarterback's coach? Have we not seen a horrible quarterback play? Why is he getting a promotion? What's happening there? Like, the quarterbacks. And by the way, Garcia threw those first 2 passes. Everyone got excited. Did anyone notice that after that the offense looked exactly the same as it did with Van Dyke?
We're definitely going to get into that because that's
right down to failing on the goal line. Like, it was the exact same team over again. The margin stayed exactly what it was. Like, it's just so maybe that is, you can point the finger at Gaddis for that. Like, hey, it doesn't matter who the quarterback is. It looks bad. But clearly something's going on in Van Dyke's head now where he's missing just easy throws. They were still big drops again. But overall, if I'm looking at what we're trying to do, I mean, guys are open and we can't hook up a pass. I mean, what is the purpose of an offense? Whether it's a missed throw or whether it's a drop or whatever it is, if you're scheming it to get your guys open and the execution doesn't happen, how is it the scheme? And why? I mean, there's large questions to be asked about, like why we don't have a receivers coach, for example, right? I mean, we have 400 million assistants and analysts now, and we don't have a receivers coach. That's certainly a criticism because we have a tight ends coach. But there's a lot, Jazz, you touched on this, a lot of execution errors. Mallory, he is supposed to be able to catch everything that's near him. That one thing where we fortunately got it overturned to an incompletion, like that shouldn't have ever hit the ground. You got to secure that ball. Arroyo got Knighton injured, missing a block that would have been a walk-in touchdown if he makes it. Like it's one of these things where once it starts spiraling, the whole thing comes down. We just don't have confidence right now at all as a team. And I think the play callers probably lost a little confidence in their ability to execute. But even some of the incompletion we threw on the goal, both of the 4th down incompletions on the goal line. One, Mallory is open on the first one, and I guess TVD did not trust that the gap wouldn't close or the defender would, because he threw it like 600 miles an hour right at his head from like 5 feet away. There's no way anyone's catching that. It's like he was open. Just throw a normal pass. It's an easy pitch and catch. And then the other one, Garcia. I mean, Arroyo was open in the back of the end zone. He threw it to the wrong guy.
That's an easy read. Blue, football. DJ, football. It's an easy read. If the cornerback jumps around up, you hit Arroyo in the back. If he stays back, you've got Mallory wide open, right? And it wasn't like he had
2-on-1 out there, and he didn't wait for it to come open.
He didn't have a lot of pressure. He had a little bit of pressure, but he would find the guy and hit him. That's it.
But it becomes hindsight, guys, because during that heat of the moment, maybe he wasn't thinking. It's easy to go back over it.
Yeah, I don't blame him for that, given that he's the backup quarterback, wasn't really even supposed to play. So, like, how game ready was he? But when we're talking about the play calling, that's a great play if you can get 2-on-1 in the flat there on a 4th down.
It's actually a good play call.
I don't know what play call you want, if you're able to scheme that out there. Not to mention, Jazz, I know you had a still shot. We scored a touchdown, on that one drive, and then they called him out of bounds. And even on the ACC network broadcast, you can see green between his foot and the sideline. They didn't overturn it. We spent another 2 minutes trying to punch it in. So we're not catching breaks. We're not making plays, and it's spiraling. But I think this is the part where you stick with it. If this is what Mario, if we trust Mario, and this is what he believes is the way to win big, right? I mean, Chip Kelly didn't win squat. Right, I mean, these guys we put these these up tempo offenses, go fast. They're a lot of fun to watch. There's not a lot of wins on those, right? When Urban Meyer was winning, it was doing the same thing we're doing. Nick Saban does the same thing we're doing. They're Kirby Smart. They're doing the same thing we're doing offensively. So as much as this is frustrating, because we saw some, especially Van Dyke is like the poster child of this, right? We saw him so much better last year, and you want to look at this and say, how did you break him? Was that system we were running last year ultimately how teams are winning? The answer is no.
Right.
Not if you want to win big. So I understand what we're doing. This is painful. It's going to be painful. We don't have the playmakers, and the quarterbacks are struggling to adjust to it. It's much harder for the quarterback to run an offense like this when it's one read and out. When you're doing an RPO and you're just reading one player and you're either going to hand it off or throw it to this one receiver. It's much easier than trying to get to your 3rd and 4th receiver. He's struggling with that. We probably did the NFL a favor, but because they're like, oh, this guy can't go through progressions. Damn. But maybe he'll get better too, right? I mean, this is a work in progress. Now, I am worried about his confidence, and whether or not mentally he's able to get better. But I mean, everything is falling on the play caller. And then if guys are getting open to enough degree where the ball's hitting them or they're open in the throw sales, then to me, that's where the play caller ends and the execution starts. And the whole team is lacking confidence. And to me, that is just permeating everything. They can't execute anything.
Well, and I don't think it's just on the play calling. And DJ, I want to get your thoughts on this. I think it's a combination of both, right? Lack of execution, and play calling. Both, I think that kind of hurt us. And however, you saw that when certain players are on the field, you saw a little better play from certain positions. I kind of want to focus on the tight end position, right? Because let's be honest, DJ. Right now, Arroyo is playing much better football than Will Mallory is, and quite frankly, I don't know how you don't have Riley. What's his name? Skinner. Jaleel Skinner, out on the field a lot more than that you do. Right? You saw him make a great catch. Right? Tiptoe the sideline, score a touchdown, which they brought back. Obviously, Vish just mentioned that he really didn't step out of bounds. However, you saw every time he gets on the field, he's the most athletic guy out there. Right, he's making plays. He's caught some really nice balls. Same thing with Arroyo. Although he whiffed on that tackle on that block, he's still playing much better than the other guys on at tight end. What do we need to see from? I mean, how do we get them more on the field? Number one, and number two, what can you see from what you watch that is the issue with coaching as opposed to execution, play calling, vice versa, those things.
Well, as far as the coaching and the play calling, it's a little bit interesting to me that it seems like, and yes, I know this is a problem because we don't have necessarily, that number one wide receiver target, but the lack of big plays and the lack of the ability to stretch the field is really kind of concerning to me. I mean, it seems like we're calling very conservative plays when, we should be able to have a balance of both, short plays, long plays, run plays, and there's really no explosion offensively. Now, I mean, I think some of that, and I'm not going to get too much into this, but I think some of that goes in regards to Tyler Van Dyke, because right now it looks like he has the yips. You know how kickers get the yips? It looks like he has the yips under center right now. It really does. And it's kind of, it's not kind of, it is frustrating to see, but I just think it stems from a lack of trust. I don't think Josh Gaddis has a ton of trust in the wide receiver unit right now. And I don't think he has a ton of trust in being able to get the ball down the field quickly. Now, this is where I can understand some of the frustrations come in, because then the game starts turning into like a slog, like a run 2 yards, run 3 yards, short pass. But I don't think there's a lot of trust on the part of Gaddis for the receivers to do what they need to do. And, I don't think Tyler Van Dyke is right now at a point where he can, drop back confidently and be able to execute a bigger play. And that's concerning, because that's what made him, a great quarterback last year, his ability to make, the tough throws, the long throws, the short throws, the ability to move the ball. And, the combination of the lack of weapons and Van Dyke's, struggles right now is very concerning for Miami, because it really, really hamstrings them, especially when there are already questions in regards to Gaddis' play call.
And DJ, he's not helping himself any, because as I illustrated and I showed Jazz at the game, defenses, especially the other day, they had 8 guys up on the box and walking 2 other guys up. So he had 1 guy back, which means they have, the defense says, you know what?
They don't respect them. They're basically
whatsoever.
Yeah.
So how are you going to ever get anything going when there's no running lanes? I think they're even blitzed. They even blitzed a couple of times, and Miami's just not adept at picking up the blitzes, as you said. It's just if you're completing passes upfield, and that's why I say, target Arroyo a little bit more. Also, your running backs, get them out of the backfield if they're not getting things at the line of scrimmage. Because what has to happen is a linebacker has to go with them, or a safety has to go with them. And you know what? That's the thing to me is when you talk about somebody losing confidence, you kind of bring that on yourself too. And if he was a little bit more accurate, and I'm not blaming the play calling, Jesus, there were some good calls the last couple of weeks. They just didn't execute them.
Yeah, he missed a lot of throws.
But here's the thing, guys. If he gets a 3-4 completions against A&M, more completions, they win the game. And if he gets 3 or 4 more completions the other day, they're backing their butts off the damn line of scrimmage because Miami, for some reason, they're not throwing well upfield. And I don't know if you watch the Dolphin games, but that's the one thing against an aggressive Buffalo defense. That's the one thing Tua did. He aired it out. Get it out there to Waddle for 60 yards. Then you got them thinking. But he's giving them with Van Dyke in this offense. The defense is, I'd love to be a defensive coordinator against Miami right now. That'd be the easiest job on the field. Because you got somebody who has no confidence because he's not executing. And if he executes, it's just sort of like, you start completing passes and then watch the demeanor. And, as soon as they pulled him out, everybody tried to rally. Oh, let's go. We got a different quarterback. But it's the same plays. And you're doing the same thing around him. You may have had a couple of plays. It's just like, and Jazz, you'll like this, when the kid Echeverria from the Marlins was traded to Tampa Bay and he started off the first week, he was hitting 420. Boy, the Marlins made a mistake. No, they didn't. He's going to revert back to what he was, a 220 hitter. But that's the same thing with Miami. You might have sparked them by putting in a new player here or there, but they're going to revert back to the same thing. It's just, that's the state that they're at right now. And that's not being negative. That's being pretty much honest.
It's the truth.
So the thing with that, though, so first of all, I don't think Gass is officially the wide receivers coach. And also, like, the players are the 2 best receivers that are light years better than anyone on the team.
Oh, yeah.
Are gone. So I don't think there's not a good comparison.
Yeah, it's not
there. And not to mention, not only are our 2 best receivers that, way better than anyone we had on the roster this year gone, our top 2 most talented guys from this year are injured now. So we're really at the bottom of the barrel there. But the one thing I would say, and this is again where guys got to help him out, those easy throws he's making, like Thad dropped one in the flat. It was only going to go for 1 or 2 yards. But to me, it's like a basketball player that can't hit a jumper. And then you try to get some layups or get some free throws. Like, we're dropping the layups. And just to build his confidence, like Blue said, if he hit a couple of throws, he gets confidence going. That's why if Ladson had caught that ball in the end zone, it would have done wonders for him. It would have been a touchdown pass, would have gotten the team going. It would have helped him out a lot. We just aren't making those. Then Garcia goes in there, Keyshawn Smith goes up and grabs that ball over the top of him, and I'm just like, where has this been? Like, like sit there like, come on, man.
Yeah, it's unbelievable.
So really it's just like, if it's not one thing, it's another thing. And he really just needs, whoever the quarterback is, whether it's, we can talk about that in a minute, what they should do at that position. But these receivers, tight ends, running backs, the ball is in your vicinity. You got to catch it. You got to help these kids out and give them that confidence. And then you'll see them make the tougher throws too, because they have confidence to throw it. Right now, if I'm him, I'm not trusting my receivers to catch it. I'm looking for the perfect wide open guy versus just throwing it because I don't think he's going to catch it.
Blue, we're going to get into this now, but I know you got to get out of here. I just want a quick answer from you because I know you got to get out of here. Quarterback competition. Is there a quarterback competition going into North Carolina in 2 weeks?
I'd open it up. I definitely would open it up. Why not? Has Van Dyke been playing that good that he's got the job sewn up? No. But my real, and I don't, if he's a team player, he'll understand that. I mean, this is a team game. If you start playing individual football, you're going to end up 5-7. So yeah, no, I think that this week coming up, this off week, I think that they've got to throw. And you know what? I know you hate to use 2 quarterbacks in a game, but you know what? Miami has to find a way out of this, guys. They have to find a way out of this. And if you keep going with Van Dyke and he keeps playing the way he is and then he gets pulled, then he'll be bruised forever. So make a decision now. Let him get over it. I mean, if he loses the competition or, because we don't see it. And that's what I try to tell these writers at the games and all that stuff who are starting to voice opinions on who should be what. I say, you don't see their practice. They let you in there for 10 minutes and then you're gone. So you've got to trust that, and I say this over and over again, that Mario Cristobal will not sabotage his team, that he will not play the worst player. Believe me. And that's why I'm saying anybody who's playing on Saturday earned that position. That's just what I feel.
I appreciate that, Blue. Make sure. Oh well, we'll get to some of the stuff in the comments now. Blue, I know you got to get out of here, but obviously we'll catch up and we'll do some stuff a little bit later on in the week.
All right, guys. Thanks.
Right.
This
Thanks,
next week we'll preview the North Carolina game. Hopefully we'll be in better moods. And but I just think that, and Vish is right. Things are not just going to change because we want them to change. They've got to change because of the fact that to me, if I'm North Carolina going into that game, I'm looking at this film and thinking, whoa, you know what? There's no use not to have 8 guys in the box and walk up another guy, because we got to do it. That's how we're going to beat Miami. And so Miami's got to get a lot more creative, and their defense has been getting a pass so far this year because they played kind of average offense, including A&M. If you watch them against Arkansas, they got lucky to win that game. And they have no offense whatsoever. But North Carolina can score. And that's the thing. They may not have the best defense in the world, but they can score. And they're going to exploit Miami in every way possible. So I think that's the theme of the week is just step up. Step up. You know what? If you have to sit after practice and catch 400 balls, do it. Keep going over it. I don't want to, we worked hard and no, you didn't. You didn't work hard enough, because to me, you could tell the schemes of other teams. And when Middle Tennessee State is throwing you curves, that's not good. That's not good. The last thing you hate to hear is a team that was a 30-point underdog and the head coach from the opposing team comes in and says, yeah, they did some things really well that we were probably not. What? What? That's like a 5'9" guy going up against a 230-pounder. So we got in a lucky punch, but not over and over again. And that's my final word. All right, guys, have a good one.
See you later.
All right, guys, thank you.
So I kind of want to get to this. Excuse me, sorry guys. We got a lot of things in the chat. By the way, thanks, Brad, Raul. Did Mario underestimate this roster when he arrived? I don't think he underestimated it. I think he knew there was a lot of work to be done. Okay, and but I think he underestimated how much work there needs to be done. That's why he brought in a lot of guys to the transfer portal as well. And for those that are asking, I know someone. Oh, Chug Mobile was the one that asked about the transfer portal receiver. They tried. Look, they got Frank Ladson and Kobe Young. But by the way, Kobe Young is still got like 3 years of eligibility left. Okay, so he's a kid that's going to be around here for a couple of years. Still needs to develop a little bit. Look, at the end of the day, guys, like what Blue said. Coach Cristobal is going to play the absolute best players he possibly can. Okay. With that being said, okay, this is going to be interesting now with this quarterback competition. I think that there is going to be. I don't want to say there's a quarterback controversy.
Sorry, just real quick on the receivers. I think if George and Restrepo are healthy, we're having a different conversation. On
yeah, of course.
Too. So it's easy in 2020 hindsight. We're talking about whoever the third, which I guess is Ladson based off this week, whoever the third best receiver on the team is, having to step up and be the number one.
Right.
So it is. I mean, injuries do matter, and they did certainly. Like, we might be out of running backs. We got to see who we got next week, and that was our deepest position coming into the season. So, injuries matter, and we've had them in bunches at certain positions. We ran out of cornerbacks this week too. Right. Now, all of this should not matter against Middle Tennessee, so it's not an excuse for that. But when you start looking at the depth and like, oh, Tyreek's out, oh, Porter's out. Right. And then you look at the receivers. Oh, George is out. Oh, Restrepo's out. You look at the running backs. No Chaney. By the end of that game, no Parrish. No Knighton.
Yeah, it was pretty bad.
No Citizen. All of a sudden, it's like, holy crap, we don't have any running backs. It wasn't bad planning. It was like they literally all got hurt. So it's just sometimes it's bad luck on that, too. We knew receiver was going to be weak. It wasn't going to be this week without these injuries.
Really quick, before we get into the quarterback competition info, I just want to give a quick shout out to our sponsors, Manscaped. Manscaped. Make sure you guys go to manscaped.com. Real quick, it's actually incredible. I actually ordered my performance package of 4.0. You have the lawnmower 4.0 trimmer, the weed whacker for the ears and nose hair trimmer, your crop preserver ball deodorant, crop reviver toner. I got a pair of boxer briefs, which is really cool, and a travel bag. The travel bag is awesome. Look, I got it right here, actually. Boom, the nice little travel bag right there. It's really cool, actually. So make sure you guys go to manscaped.com. They've got all really, really great things. Been using the product now for a little bit, and it's absolutely great. So I know that everybody will be happy. Make sure you go to manscaped.com. When you check out, put in the code 5RSN. So the number 5 and then RSN, you'll get 20% off. Plus, you'll get free shipping as well.
It's scrolling across the bottom there in case you guys didn't pick up on it. So.
Actually, yeah, the marquee right there on the bottom. 5RSN is the code word. When you check out, you'll get 20% off plus free shipping on manscaped.com. Check them out. All right, so what everybody really wants to talk about, because this is quarterback, right? This is quarterbacking stuff. And look, he has been struggling. TVD has been struggling. We saw that he got pulled in the second half for Jake Garcia. Here's what I want everybody to realize, that we saw it, right? We kind of saw it. Yeah, it was exciting to have Jake Garcia come in. You know, that first drive of his, he sparked, it was a great throw he made to Keyshawn. We scored, relatively quickly. We scored a touchdown with him at quarterback coming in. But after that, the team kind of reverted back to how they were playing again with TVD. And quite frankly, you see that there is deficiencies in Jake Garcia's game as well. Look, and I say that and then I say, he's a really good quarterback, and I believe that he's the future of this team. Could the future be now? Absolutely. But here's what we have to this is my perspective, right? Like, we've seen that TVD has regressed quite a bit, or he's having issues. He's struggling right now. He's broken. There's something going on that needs to be fixed with Tyler Van Dyke. However, that's not to say that Tyler is not, quite frankly, the best quarterback on this team. So, okay, he practices the best, and I understand a lot of people don't care about that. But apparently this coaching staff does, right? You practice hard, you practice the best, you're going to play the most. And that's how it should be for most programs. I understand there's a lot of players that are, what we call 2 o'clock hitters in baseball. DJ, Vish, you guys know that term, right? 2 o'clock hitters, and then there's guys that just show up and they ball out in actual games, right? You know who those guys are, though, right? Right off the bat, you know who those guys are. Mario comes in here, and it's a clean slate for everybody. So everybody has to work hard to get their position to start, which is what you saw. And the cream will rise to the top. TVD has been practicing really well. It's a completely different environment from practicing really well in this scheme than to performing on, in a game. And I get that, okay? And he has been struggling. However, even though saying that, I still think that, Jake Garcia really didn't do anything he went 10 of 19, by the way, for everybody that's wondering. He went 10 of 19. He didn't go he started off 5 of 5 or 6
189 yards.
Right? But he went 10 of 19 for 189 yards, okay? So it's not like he was 17 of 19 for $189, right? He's
169, actually. Excuse me.
Okay, better, even better. 169. So you see that he still struggled making some throws. Vish mentioned, right, the throw in the end zone where he went to he went to Mallory instead of Arroyo in the back of the end zone.
Well, I think at the time he threw it too soon is what happened there, because at that point they hadn't separated.
He had a little bit of a rush.
If he waited a second, then that DB would have had to make a choice. He threw it before he had to commit to one or the other.
But he pretty much did, right? Like, anyways. Bottom line is, do we have a quarterback competition now? I think that right now you've got to open it up. You've got to let them both compete. Jake Garcia is a super talented quarterback, and I think that he can come in and do some really nice things. However, if you go with Jake Garcia, please, Canes fans, understand you're going to see some stuff you're not going to like, okay? You're going to see some growing pains, and you're going to have to live with those if he wins the starting job again ahead of North Carolina. You're going to have to understand that this is not going to be the same thing that you're going to accustomed to seeing from TVD last year. Okay, and what you're going to expect down the road. Yeah, he's still a gunslinger. He has great legs, right? He can kind of get out of the pocket and move and get some yards with his legs and all that. He's a very talented kid. I'm not saying that he's not going to be eventually the starter here and he's going to be a really good quarterback here. Okay, however, he's still okay the backup quarterback, and I know he's the most popular guy on the team, as always. However, understand something. You're going to have to wait for him to develop a little bit more. So that what that tells me is if you go into North Carolina and you name him the starter, you've got to ride with him the rest of the season. Okay, because now you're talking about bringing in TVD if he struggles again, and that just throws everything completely off again, and now you've got yourself a really big issue. Now you can do it the other way around, right? You can say that TVD wins the quarterback competition now, go into North Carolina, and if he struggles, right, you give him a half, you give him a quarter, 3, 4 series, right? Whatever it is, and he continues to struggle, then you can bring in Jake Garcia after that, right? He's going to be on a short leash now until he proves otherwise. Okay. However, if he's a better quarterback in practice, you start TVD again. And I don't think you can divert from that. I want to get your take on this, guys. We'll start with you, DJ.
I think, neither quarterback has done anything to, overtake the starting job completely. Van Dyke has struggled, but Garcia at the same time in the action that we saw on Saturday, granted it was limited, didn't do anything to definitively pull ahead in the quarterback one competition. So I like the second option that you laid out there. Just have Van Dyke maybe start the second half, and if he struggles, bring Garcia in. That's odd to say. Take him out no matter what once the second half begins. If Van Dyke plays well, then you obviously ride with him. But there's a lot of uncertainty here. But the one certain thing is that they need to open this quarterback competition up, because right now Tyler Van Dyke is struggling, and whether or not he just needs this competition to kind of wake him up, or he needs a complete mental reset, they got to figure it out in practice before the ACC games begin, because we just had our quote unquote gimme game in Tennessee, Middle Tennessee State, and we didn't perform well in that one at all. So now they've kind of put themselves in a tough spot.
And by the way, it's to that last one from Samad Jamar. Unfortunately, it's true, man. Norvell's got them boys going over there, right? I mean, they've played.
They're impressive.
They've played equivalent competition as we have, maybe slightly better actually, right? They have played a couple, ACC. They played 2 ACC games. They played LSU, and then they played, I think, a rinky-dink team. But it's 3 years though. 3 years. 3 years. This is what I'm talking about, right? Like, do Canes fans have the patience to let Mario get his?
No, they don't. I'll answer that right now. No, they don't.
I'll say right now, I don't have the patience if he's going to miss a bowl game. Like, Norvell's never made a bowl game before. Like, I don't have that kind of patience. But to be honest, like, if we're sitting here going like 4-8 every year, no. I'm gonna be pissed off.
Gonna be bad.
That's what Norvell did. And again, earlier you talked about how he wants to bring up Nick Saban and how he had a bad first. This is the equivalent of that, though, from the other extreme. We just got to play as well as we possibly can. And FSU did not do that the last 2 years. Like, they're doing better this year. They lost to Jacksonville State last year. Get the hell. Like, that's not part of his growth. Just like Middle Tennessee is not part of Mario's growth. It's a massive screw up, and he's got to own it, which he did. And then we move on. But that screw up was not necessary to build the program. Just like losing to Jacksonville State was not necessary to build the program, right? I mean, it's just because it's now they're playing well. They did not have to go through all of that pain. They could have been bowl eligible, right? I mean, he did a bad job the first 2 years, and now he's doing a good job this year. Now, that growth was happening behind the scenes, obviously recruiting and building stuff up, but that doesn't mean the play on the field had to be that bad. And we certainly did not have to lose that game on Saturday to then eventually be good.
Yeah, good point. Vish, what's your take on the quarterback competition?
Yeah, I kind of agree that I think TVD has certainly not played well enough where it's his job anymore. And Garcia did not play well enough to earn the job outright. Like you said, 10-19 is not exactly lighten it up. I think everyone got excited off the first drive, and then after that it was back to reality, right? Basically the same offense, which The one thing I would say is whoever earns the job, you gotta back them. You cannot be yanking these kids in and out of the game you can't have them as they're both. I don't think Garcia is gonna have I don't know where he is confidence wise. I think we kind of see where TBD is. You can't also have them looking over their shoulder. So whoever you think is better, you're like, look, man, it's your team. The quarterback needs to lead the team out there. This is your team. Go lead your troops out there. We're sticking with you. And whoever the quarterback is needs that backing. They cannot be thinking, oh crap, if I miss one throw, if I make one mistake, I'm gonna get pulled.
See, but I don't think it's gonna be a matter of them making one mistake or not. I think that you're gonna see them. You're gonna see TVD not have such a short leash, such a long leash, as opposed to Jake. I think that if you stick Jake in there and you make him your starter, you got to ride with him at this point. At this point, that's it. It's done. You got to ride with him. You got to take your shots. You're going to have some growing pains with him at quarterback. The other way around, in my opinion, you will be able to say, well, you've got a short leash, man. We're giving you another opportunity to right this ship. And if you don't do it, then we got to pull it. We got to pull you.
I think if you feel that you need to do that, you shouldn't be starting him. He's got a lot more game action under his belt. If you think you need to let me see what you can do for a quarter, he needs to just not be the starter.
Well, no, but I disagree with that because what if he practices better than Jake Garcia? He completely outshines Jake Garcia.
Then you back him.
Yeah, but then he comes
in games too.
Yeah, but Vish, if he comes into a game and he does this crap again, how are you going to back that? How are you going to back that? At that point, you kind of know what you got with him at quarterback. Like at this point, I don't feel like he's gonna if he does this again, right? I don't feel like there's much you can do about it.
I think
you got to try to give.
He at least needs the leash he had against Middle Tennessee. You can't pull him out in the first quarter.
All right.
I'm
good with that
because and then I think if you pull him out again, that's got to be it.
Yeah, I agree.
And so you got to understand the implications of that.
Right.
The quarterback is a different position. You got to be careful here. And if you're going to say after 2 weeks of prep, you're the man, you got to back that up a little bit at least. You can't just and frankly, and I know we're all on Twitter, so we see all this crap and it doesn't really matter in the real world. But this whole social media campaign going around against TBD is making me sick.
Yeah.
Frankly. I'm seeing quotes taken out of context, retweet, be like, look at this a-hole. And I'm like, you got to be kidding me.
Yeah, I agree.
He is trying his best, all right? This is tough for him. Imagine you come in with the hype he did and everyone's saying it went to his head. He has expectations of himself, all right? And it's not going the way
he knows he's not playing well. It's not like he's sitting there saying, oh, I don't know what's going on. No, he knows.
You think he knows. And then I saw him simultaneously get criticized for getting mad for being pulled. Of course he's mad he got pulled. Who wouldn't be? What? Yeah, I really hope he's like, thank God they got me out of there. Of course not.
I'd be more upset if he didn't show emotion.
Yeah, and then also pretending like he doesn't care. It all went to his. I'm like, you can't have it both ways. This whole thing about going after him personally, he's not playing well. He knows that. He's got to be more upset about than any of us are. This is a person that was supposed to go in the first round of the NFL draft that's playing like complete crap. You don't think he knows that? His entire, from Pee Wee football now was building this moment, and it's going horribly. How about a little sympathy? What's wrong with us? Seriously.
What's wrong with us? We're Miami Hurricanes fans.
I mean, but come on. This is like a 20-something-year-old kid. How about backing him and supporting him? Either way, he's a Miami Hurricane. He's
absolutely
one of our kids.
You said it. And that's so. And I'll be honest with you. I think that's the same way that we need to feel at this. We're only 4 games into this regime. We need to calm down. Take a step back and calm down. I understand. Look, we're here to do this, right? We're here to poke out the issues that are going on, and I'm losing the words that I want to say, but we're here to dissect what the hell is going on and to say, hey, Josh Gaddis is not, doing well right now, right? Tyler Van Dyke is not doing well right now. That doesn't mean that we're not going to sit here and back this team 100%. Josh Gaddis is still our offensive coordinator. We still got to back him. We still got to put okay, it's maybe not put all of our faith in him because I understand that. Oh, I get that, and coaches can, and I'm sorry, not coaches, fans can kind of make the decision, whatever decision they want. They choose to do whatever the hell they want. But at the end of the day, these are Miami Hurricanes, man, right? And Tyler Van Dyke is the Miami Hurricanes quarterback, or Jake Garcia, or whoever it is. We need to back them up, and you can't go out there on Twitter because unfortunately this. Yes, it does affect the real world, right? Because these are kids. And at the end of the day, kids are impressionable and they're going to see this crap on Twitter. And it does affect them because I know that as a 20-year-old kid, okay, if someone talk crap about me out there, some kids can deal with it. Some kids can't. Some kids let it get to their heads, right? This NIL crap gets to a lot of kids' heads as well. It's at the end of the day, if you're going to put out there negative information or if you're going to put out there just negativity, that's what you're going to get in return because that's the energy that you're putting out there. Okay. At the same time, if you sit there and you say, hey, he's not playing really well, but we still got your back, TVD. You're not playing really well. You need to get it together. But you're still a Hurricane. We still got you. We're still here. Okay. That's different. And that's what we're saying. We're not sitting here saying.
I'm not saying you can't be critical of
right. You have to be critical. That's what we're here for, is to be critical.
There is a concerted social media campaign against him,
which
ridiculous. Blows my mind, and it upsets me. Maybe because I'm older now, and I'm just like, what is wrong with you people? These are kids in college. Like, I get it. Like, you can totally the last throw he made of the game was awful. He missed Jalil Skinner by 5 yards. Although I'm not sure he shouldn't have sat down the zone. I still feel like. Because he ran into traffic, and if he just stopped where he was, he would.
But he missed Michael Redding on two perfect routes.
Yeah, he missed, and then Michael Redding dropped the other one when he hit him in the chest. Nothing's working, and I get that. And we can talk about how you can look at how he was throwing the ball last year and how he's throwing it now, and something is wrong, right? And we can talk about that without making it personal, almost like cheering against him. Some of our fans are, and it's disgusting.
This is why I don't agree with booing. Like, I'm not a big boo guy. I don't boo at games. So, but I understand. I understand it.
And I think this is why I'm generally harder on the coaches. Although in this case, we're 4 games in, so I'm like, pump the brakes a little bit here. But they're paid millions of dollars to do this job, right? They're the professionals. These kids are in college. Like, I was a dumb. I was an idiot in college. Like, there's no way I could have handled any of this stuff. Like, I don't understand where.
I know what you're talking about. I was an idiot.
I don't even remember half of college.
Damn, DJ, that wasn't that long ago for you.
I know, right? But at the end of the day, Vish, you mentioned this. You said this earlier, right? We can't put it all on the coaches either, though. These players have to go out there and they have to execute.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I'm just, when we talk about really being very harsh with our criticism, I'm much more comfortable doing it of the coaches who are paid professionals versus these players who chose to pledge. Like, you only get one chance to play college football. They chose to do it at our school. Can we not crap on them, please? Like, is it? I'm not talking about don't ever say like they messed up or whatever. Or even we talked about Flag and like, he does some things really well. They exploited his weaknesses, which we know he's not good in space. We know he's not the fastest linebacker. They went right at him. Like, that's fine, right? We're not like on social media like Flag is the devil and all this crap that's happening with TVD. And I don't get how quickly we turned on this kid.
And all that.
I don't know how quickly. Like, I cannot understand how quickly he turned on this kid. Really
quick before we get out of here, totally flipping the script. Does this affect recruiting? I say no. Mm-hmm. And I think people have the misconception that losses, losses do affect recruiting in a sense. But, I mean, if you saw Mario Cristobal is trying to do something here, okay, people. Mario Cristobal is trying to get the players, okay, and the people, the type of humans that are going to come in here and they're going to change the culture of this program. He's going to get really, really good players. You saw him do it at other schools. You've seen him do it. Okay, I don't want everybody to sit here and be like, look, this is typical Mario. What is typical Mario? Because he won the Pac-12 a couple times. He won a Rose Bowl. Okay, so what is Mario? What are we talking about when we say that? Okay, do you know how hard it is to win in college football? Okay, do you know how hard it is? And he was there. He was a top 10 program year in and year out. He won a Rose Bowl. He won 2 Pac-12 titles. Like, what are we talking about here? Saying, oh, oh, Mario, you're gonna get look here. This is what you get when you get Mario. I mean, if that's what you get when you get Mario, and maybe even better because now you're in the ACC, you got another opportunity to come in and compete and win a national title, win an ACC championship, whatever the case is. You gotta let him do his thing. You gotta let him build this team. You gotta let him build a culture. And that's what he's doing, especially with the guys that he's recruiting right now. And you saw it. They all banded together like brothers. They all did. They banded together like brothers on Twitter. You saw them post, "We ain't going anywhere." Ray Joseph and Jackson Carver and Antonio Tripp and everybody, all the ambassadors of this recruiting class. Okay, it's not going to affect recruiting in the sense that look, you're going to miss on some guys, and maybe one or two guys will decommit. That's part of the process. That's recruiting for you. It happens at Alabama. It happens at Georgia. It happens everywhere in the country. Okay. A bad loss is a bad loss. I get that. But this is an opportunity for players to see what Mario is trying to build here. And I think that the players that he already has committed know that. All right. So when you're talking about guys like Tyler Williams, who was visiting he was here for 72 hours. Okay. He's going to make his decision tomorrow, actually. He's going to make his decision on what school he's going to choose. A lot of people think it's Georgia. A lot of people think it's still Miami. And then someone said, someone posted, we were talking about it a little earlier today about, how did Tyler react to the loss? And so somebody that knows him very closely and personally said he actually reacted different than I thought he was. He actually was positive about the loss and understands, what Coach Cristobal, what Miami's trying to do. He wasn't put off by it. I mean, everybody was put off by it, but he wasn't like, I'm not going to go play at Miami because they sucked and they got their ass kicked. Like, it was a completely different vibe from Tyler Williams. So that tells me what you need to know about this program and what Mario is trying to do here at the University of Miami. Everybody needs to relax, calm down.
Yeah, and the other thing I would say is these
types of recruiting is a marathon. Let's relax.
Yeah, and these types of things affect you much more in years 2, 3, 4. Because everyone knows this isn't fully his team yet, and actually we have a good history to fall back on. When Randy Shannon's first year went 5-7, a lot of bad losses. That was when Kirby Freeman and Kyle Wright were splitting a quarterback. Landed the number 1 recruiting class after that because those kids were not committing to the current team; they were committing to the dream of what could be, and those are the same players committing to Mario now. They know we're not there yet.
You want to know how important? You want to know, and I hate to cut you off. I'm sorry, but you know how important a coach is and what the coach is trying to build here. That I was coaching back then when Randy Shannon was the head coach at Miami. I was coaching baseball. I was coaching travel baseball for high school kids. Okay, I went to a tournament in East Cobb, Georgia. Okay, which is the biggest tournament in the country back then for 17 and under, 18 and under teams. Okay, we happened to play a team. Okay, that the starting pitcher was Jameis Winston. He was on Team Alabama. Jameis Winston was the starting pitcher. I've said this story before, I know, to you, Vish. I'm not sure, DJ, but he was a starting pitcher, and he went 3 for 4, okay? And he struck out like 12, and we lost 3-1, okay? We still battled. We still fought hard. I don't know why I'm mentioning that part, but the point is that after the game, okay, that was the season that Randy Shannon had just gotten fired, okay? And Jameis Winston was being recruited by Randy Shannon and by the University of Miami. And and this is a true story. I went up to Jameis Winston's father after the game, and I said, "Great job. You raised a great kid there. He looks like he's going to be an absolute star." Talk to me, man. What happened with Miami? And at that point, I think it was between Miami, Texas, and Florida State. Okay, and talk to me. Why isn't Jameis coming to Miami, baby? Right? Like I was trying to hype him up, but he goes, I'll tell you the exact reason why Jameis Winston is not going to Miami, because Randy Shannon is not the quarterback there anymore. He's not the coach there anymore. That's exactly the reason. So understand how important it is that coaches matter, man. Like when you get the right players, can you imagine Miami with Jameis Winston back then? I mean, things might have been a little bit different, right?
No, because Golden Owl would have ruined the whole thing.
No, I'm saying if Randy Shannon would have stayed. Yeah. Right, speaking of Al Golden, right? He's being looked at for Georgia Tech. Okay, let's talk about that for a second.
Please do that, man. If anything, can we get him in there by our game? That'll fix Van Dyke right up.
He's doing a
Al Golden defense out there.
He's doing a bang-up job over in Notre Dame, isn't he?
You get an Al Golden defense out there, and TVD will be right as rain after that, man. man.
Unbelievable.
No, but I think so. If it's 3 or 4 or 5 years down the line and we're doing this, it's so much harder. It doesn't matter who the coach is to go into the kids home and be like, yeah, we're gonna win here. It's like, really, we've been there forever. But year one, no, it does not matter. They're buying into, by the time I'm a junior, we can be winning championships, and I'll be one of those kids that brought the school back. That's what they're buying into. So losing to Middle Tennessee is not going to change that. But if 3 years from now we're losing games like this, absolutely, it'll be hard to recruit because they're going to be like, you're full of it. Your team sucks.
Right.
But now it doesn't matter.
True. Man, I think that the curse of the Orange Bowl. Listen, that's a whole show in and of itself.
We're not going to do. All right, we're not doing
that.
stadium talk.
We're not doing that.
Doing stadium talk.
The U1975. I feel like you've been around for a while, but all right. So next Monday, obviously we don't have pre or post game this weekend, but thankfully, right, we're gonna go. We're not gonna lose this weekend, so that's good. That's the exciting part. Next Monday, we preview a big game. We go into ACC play against North Carolina, a team that can score. They can light up the scoreboard, right? They've got a really good quarterback now over there. Believe it or not, right after homeboy left, Sam Howell, they picked off right where they left off. Drake May is a pretty good quarterback. Josh Downs is an elite level wide receiver. So yes, Tyler Williams will be committing tomorrow on the 27th. So just stay tuned for that on Twitter and stuff. You'll probably get some updates on that. So yeah, next weekend, like I said, next week, North Carolina. The game, by the way, is a 4 p.m. start. Which thank God for you and me, Rich. It's a 4 p.m. start.
The one thing I'll say, I know what you're talking about. The one thing I'll say is, this is a good test for this coaching staff. With the teams down, the bye week could not have come at a better time just to reset your heads. Yeah. Can they get this team? Because we're 2 weeks removed from everyone being excited, the team being pumped up. We're gonna go on the road. We're gonna win this game, and we're gonna make a statement. And 2 weeks later, it's like the program's over.
Yep, we're in shambles again.
So that's the same team. So can they reset? Mentally, get the team prepared to go out there and play well,
right?
Because there's 8 ACC games to go here, man, and this is a good chance to reset. You got 2 weeks to prepare. North Carolina does not. Get the team ready, get them fired up to play a home game in conference, and frankly, take a step towards winning the stupid conference. And it was not Miami fans with inflated expectations that were making these predictions. They were voted to win the Coastal.
Well, so, we still got a shot. We still got a shot of doing it, right?
They haven't played a conference game yet. I mean, based on the evidence.
Well, yeah.
No, but
on paper, evidence.
But coming into the year, right? I mean, in fact, before Saturday, we would have said, yeah, they're the favorites still.
Yeah.
So, I mean, does one game just throw the whole season out? No, hopefully not. So let's see.
Crazy.
No, but that's my point. The coaches can get their heads, get them to flush that performance, reset, and say, look, we got 8 games in front of us. Let's go play the best 8 games we can. And if they can get the kids' heads in the right space, there's enough talent to do some damage there. They're going to win the Coastal. Based on the evidence, probably not, but they can win a lot of games still and build some momentum in the next season. And this is why I want to see what we can do here. I
think the evidence is misleading. But then again, I mean, we've seen this type of situation before, right? I feel like the evidence is misleading. Look, Texas A&M just beat a damn good Arkansas team, right? So, college football is crazy, man. This is a crazy sport.
And one of the things you're
lost to Middle Tennessee State, but
yeah, we shouldn't have. But one of the things you're seeing is if you're not like on that Alabama or Georgia level, if you don't show up, you will lose. Like A&M lost to App State.
Oklahoma.
App State needed a Hail Mary to beat Troy the next week. Lost to James Madison.
Oklahoma.
UF almost lost at home to USF, who was complete dump.
Yep.
Right. I mean, and Texas, against UTSA was struggling down. It is. There's a few programs.
Texas lost to Texas Tech.
There's a few.
Oklahoma lost to Kansas State.
Yeah, exactly. There's a few programs, basically at this point, Alabama and Georgia, that have separated themselves to where they can half show up and still win. Anyone else, you could lose to pretty much anyone, and that's been proven this year. Not just in the losses, but in the teams that they escaped with that one. There's been a lot of those too against really USF is awful, and they almost won in Gainesville. This is. this is the way the sport is. If you don't show up, that can happen. What happened to us?
It doesn't matter who it is. Absolutely. To answer your question really quick, did Mario work the kids too hard after the Texas A&M game? I'm sure that's what he meant.
Yeah.
They looked out of gas. No, I don't think so. Number one, they've been practicing the same way always. Okay, that's not an excuse to be out of gas. I just think that they took this game lightly. Okay, and they put the brakes on and they pumped the brakes and they didn't play hard. It was a lack of effort. Just bottom line. I don't think they were out
I
of
think it
gas.
was a lack of effort, lack of mental focus, and
Yeah.
then just the way the game started with the 3 turnovers and 3 possessions. I think basically it's like Mike Tyson and everyone has a plan to get hit in the mouth. We got hit in the mouth and did not ever get up really.
Yep, 100%. Make sure you guys keep it locked here on the 5 Reasons Sports YouTube channel. 6 Rings Canes every Monday night at 8:30 p.m. We also have pre- and post-game show when the Canes do play on Saturdays. But make sure you keep it locked during the week as we'll have some stuff on Twitter at 6 Rings Canes. Follow us there. Subscribe to the show. Give us a smash the like button when you do watch the show. And just keep it locked for all of our shenanigans that we
Yeah,
post
so we
online.
will do pre and post game North Carolina, provided
Yes.
Jazz and I survive the morning's events. But
Oh my God, I'm totally not ready for it. By the way.
I'm
But,
ready now, man. I'm ready to go.
I bet
I've
you
been
are.
training
I'm
for
not.
it. But you know
I'm gonna
what though?
drink.
Like the humidity is so much worse in Miami that I am going to die.
Oh my God.
Oh yeah,
I've
did
been
you guys
told
run a
I'm like
5K or something?
I'm doing a
5K.
10K.
He's doing the 10K. Yeah. So I don't know. I'm gonna drink the night before. Screw it.
I am actually that beer I had on stream on Saturday was like, that's the last drink I'm having until after I run this. I am going to die at the tailgate is what's going to actually happen because after
Yeah.
this thing is done, I'm like, give me all the beer.
Who thought it was a good idea? It's all Vicious fault.
I did not ask you to do it.
He forced me to do it.
On purpose. I was like, I'm not bringing anyone else into this nonsense, but you went on
But
your
I
own
did it.
volition.
I did it because I'm an idiot. Anyways, yeah. So thank you everybody for watching the show. By the way, we appreciate it. Like I said, make sure you follow us on Twitter at 6 Rings Canes, and every Monday here at 8:30 p.m. on the 5 Reasons Sports YouTube channel. Subscribe, smash the like button, tell your friends about it. We'll have some pretty cool stuff coming up as well. A little bit of a facelift for the show, as you probably heard in the beginning. Cool little intro, but it's going to be even better soon. And we'll have some swag, hopefully, within the next couple of weeks there. Some merch for you guys as well. So keep it locked on here. We'll see you guys.
Before we end, real quick, if you guys are subscribed to the podcast, this will post to that. You should still get it. If you don't, just find it and resubscribe. We did cut over to the fan-sided network called Red Circle. Everything's supposed to convert over seamlessly. You shouldn't notice anything, but in case it doesn't come over, you might have to resubscribe.
Should we give a shout out to Prize Picks too, by the way?
We can do that.
Yeah, just real quick, Prize Picks. Make sure you guys go to prizepicks.com or load up the app as well. It's really easy. You can pick 2 to 5 players, choose their individual over-unders on their categories. You can choose the NFL, Major League Baseball, college football. You've got so many different things that you can do there. The NHL when it comes back around, the NBA. So you've got a lot of different options that you can do. It's really simple. It all depends on how much you want to win. Pick 2 to 5 players, choose the over-under on their categories, individual categories, and that's how you win, man, and make some money there. When you sign up, make sure you put in the code 5, F-I-V-E. When you sign up, they will match your initial deposit up to $100 when you use the code 5, F-I-V-E. That is prizepicks.com. Make sure you check them out. Code word 5. All right, guys. Again, thank you so much for joining us here on the 6 Rings Canes show tonight. Thank you to Blue. Thank you to Vish, DJ. You guys are always awesome. And of course, thank you to all the guys and girls on the chat as well. We do appreciate it. We'll see you guys next Monday. Go Canes.